It's another hurricane season, and Texans are once again facing flooding, dangerous winds, and no power.
We have so much infrastructure that should have been protected for decades, and this county chose not to exert any political will.
The frustration of recovery and the politics between leadership as people suffer under triple-digit heat.
So there's millions and millions of people every year who need legal help and are not going to be able to get it.
The cost of representation is too great for many Texans. An in-depth look at one program, a Texas Supreme Court justice's work to expand it, and who are forced to be their own lawyer.
The subtext here will probably overwhelm the actual text of the speech, I suspect.
President Joe Biden is heading to Texas. Another chance for him to show the country he should stay in the race, as his own party members have concerns of his ability to win this November.
Produced from the Capitol in Austin and airing statewide, this is the award-winning State of Texas.
Hello and thank you for joining us. I'm Josh Hinkle. This week, millions faced scorching heat, all without power when Hurricane Beryl ripped through southeast Texas. And for Houston, the fourth largest city in the country, hurricanes are a constant disaster that loom every year. Ryan Chandler talked to those who say even though they've seen this so many times, it does not get easier.
We went through, I believe, Carla, where the whole area was flooded. Katrina and Ike in 2008, then Harvey in 2017.
At 92, Gladys Goffney isn't fazed much by the latest hurricane, but it never gets easier.
You never recover from these storms. You know, there's just no way to recover because they come so frequently.
This time, Beryl claimed her backyard.
Nothing to see but just a whole bunch of trees down.
And dropped a 60-foot tree on the garage, the same kind that has killed Houstonians in other homes. After the second major disaster in as many months, Gladys and millions of others grow wary.
It just put you back to where you were. You know, you thought you were cleaned up. You know, it kind of breaks your spirit.
Smaller cities are sending their electric crews, and overheating locals resort to public cooling centers while private companies try to restore their power. Too many woes for a world-class city, some local leaders say.
We have so much infrastructure that should have been protected for decades, and this county chose not to exert any political will.
Houston's disaster preparation has long been a point of contention. 7 years after Harvey, flood mitigation remains a top priority. With 2 months left in a hyperactive hurricane season, Houstonians rake up the wreckage, but won't let down their guards.
You know, it's just kind of remaking yourself all the time. But keep smiling.
Ryan Chandler is here with us. You spent most of the week covering the damage left behind from Beryl. We saw what people were facing. What's happening to bring those people relief?
Well, too little, too late. I think that's how Houstonians would put it. All eyes are on Centerpoint Energy right now. That's the largest electric provider around the Houston area. And as of Friday, there are still 850,000 people on day 5 without power as heat has reached up into 105 degrees. That is down from over 2 million people that were originally knocked out. Centerpoint says that they've had 12,000 workers on the front lines trying to get power restored, working day and night. But they intend to have 80% of people restored by Sunday. That means thousands and thousands of people will be going into a week without power after they pass that mark. Meanwhile, there has been a state, federal, and local response to try and just triage these people while they deal with this heat. Local governments have been opening cooling centers for people that don't have anywhere else to go. They opened a field hospital in NRG, the Houston Texans Stadium, with 250 beds in order to make up for a hospital shortage. They can't send people home to places without air conditioning if they need power. Austin has sent their own electric providers to try and send backup. Even Dallas has been sending police officers to augment Houston police. So we're just seeing cascading effects when so many people lose power. It's not just about air conditioning, which is more of a necessity than a luxury now. It really puts a strain on so many city resources that the state from all over has been trying to help
Well, state leaders are now calling for accountability for Centerpoint. Dan Patrick is calling for an investigation and says the Texas will hold them accountable.
Yes, he says the Texas Senate is going to look into their conduct both before and after the storm. He asked at a press conference on Thursday, were they prepared? He expects that they underestimated the storm and underprepared, didn't have enough line workers ready to go, didn't have enough trucks stationed before the storm hit. So he thinks that they may have cut corners in order to save money and didn't respond to this as quickly as they could have. He said on Thursday they need to get their rear ends in gear, and there will, of course, be, I'm sure, hearings and investigations into how Centerpoint will do this in the future. But for now, all their focus is on getting the power back on to the people who still need it.
As recovery started, a political fight really played out between Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, President Joe Biden, and Governor Greg Abbott, who was overseas when Beryl made landfall, right?
Of course, there's politics underpinning all of this, and we're starting to see as the frustration grows, so does the finger pointing. Dan Patrick was adamant that reporting from the Houston Chronicle that accused the state of delaying aid or not acting quickly enough was inaccurate. The President of the United States called into the Houston Chronicle shortly after the storm and said that he was trying to track down the governor and acting Governor Patrick and just couldn't find them because they need to make a request for a disaster declaration to FEMA in order for the federal government to send in things like generators, food, water. And the reporting there was that usually that's done before the storm. It wasn't done until the day after this time. Now, Patrick was adamant to say that that is untrue, that they had processes and federal law to follow when you're dealing with the bureaucracy of this situation. But without getting into all of the complexities of how that works and FEMA regulations, there are political accusations being made both from the White House and from the Texas Capitol about who is responsible for slowing this delay. And in fact, the state says there was no delay. They did everything as quickly as they could. But we're going to see a lot more finger pointing and blame shifting as the frustration grows in Houston.
All right, Ryan, thank you, and great job out there. I'm glad you stayed safe.
Thank you.
President Joe Biden is heading to Texas. He's set to deliver remarks Monday at the LBJ Presidential Library in Austin. It will mark the 60th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act. It comes as reports are emerging of powerful figures in the Democratic Party putting pressure on the president to withdraw from the race. Among them, reportedly, is former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. The Hill spoke with Democratic lawmakers who say she is concerned about Biden's ability to win in November. The spotlight will be on the president ahead of his visit to Texas. Our Monica Madden sat down with Jim Henson, director of the Texas Politics Project at UT Austin, to get a better look at what to expect this election season.
We know that President Joe Biden is coming to Austin on Monday to give a civil rights speech at the LBJ Library. His visit on Monday, though, coincides with the start of the RNC convention in Milwaukee. What kind of message do you think Biden is hoping to convey from the Lone Star State Monday?
Well, I mean, I think there are two things going on here. There's the thing itself, which will be, a vigorous defense of Democratic commitments and Joe Biden's commitment to civil rights and voting rights. They're celebrating the anniversary of big voting rights legislation passed by LBJ. The underlying message will be Joe Biden is a competent candidate. He's here, he's forceful. People should stop talking about removing him. So as with all Joe Biden events now, the subtext here will probably overwhelm the actual text of the speech, I suspect.
The president's visit comes after calls for him to drop out of the race, most notably Congressman Lloyd Doggett of Austin, the first Democratic congressman to call for Biden to bow out of the race. Do you expect this to be an issue that we continue to hear, in the lead up to the election in November?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that this issue is not going to go away for Joe Biden. As I was saying, that is going to be hovering very prominently over this visit to Texas. And, that's the essence of the problem that Joe Biden has. The debate performance reinforced doubts that were pre-existing in Texas nationally and including among Democrats. And that's not going away. I don't think anything is going to make that go away, frankly, at this point.
It's a collection of extreme MAGA ideas.
Project 2025, an overhaul of the federal government, who's behind the plan, and why it's dominating election headlines.
You follow the law, you follow the rules, you wait in line.
Treat people in a humane way, but that also, and sometimes will have to be tough.
The race for Senate. The two men trying to win your vote for the seat this November shared their thoughts over the border and migration.